on the dot. Richard and I are on time. For those of you that don't know, we actually just had our own podcast,
Yeah,
but
we just did a whole show. Sorry,
we just did a whole segment for the last half an hour during prep. But yeah, to kick things off, I'm Ryan.
I'm Richard.
Here we go. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. It is 8 p.m. and it's the Ryan Mercer Show with Richard Masso. And we are here. We're switching up the agenda a little bit, okay? So originally we told you guys and girls all weekend long that we were going to be talking about the Falcon and Winter Soldier, Mortal Kombat, and the state of the Oscars. But some things have changed. Richard was going to try to hold off until next week, but he just can't resist, and I'm glad he can't. We're going to be talking about Marvel Phase 4 trailer dropped, right?
Yeah, someone just asked me a question in my ear. Did you finish Falcon and Winter Soldier?
And there's another.
Sorry.
Richard just called me out live. Luckily, we don't have any viewers yet.
I think it was Monica in my ear. Sorry.
Yes, I was getting ready to put the boys down and get it done, but then you texted me and you're like, make an executive decision. I was like, oh, thank goodness, because I don't know if we're going to be able to.
No, it worked. Yeah.
So I'm gonna let Richard take the lead on this one. I think we're gonna start off with the Oscars, right? Actually, should we start Mortal Kombat? It's pretty simple.
Let's because I think that one's going to take us the least amount of time.
Yeah,
Actually, no, we're supposed to start with my news report.
Oh yes, let's start with Richard's news report.
That's one thing you guys will start to notice for our longtime listeners. We are going to try to have something that resembles that, like a format that you would see if you listen to a regular show. We're going to try really hard to keep it to an hour. Not this week, but in the future weeks, we're going to try to have that down. So in news this week, the box office. All right, you can tell what a professional I am. In news this week from the box office, can you guess what was number one at the movies, Ryan?
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat made $6 million, which does not seem like a huge amount, but with everything just kind of opening up, Ruth Reed just texted me to ask what channel the Phillies on, so sounds like we don't have Ruth Reed, which reminds me, if you notice, we are not doing this podcast up against the NFL draft. So focus on the news. This is why it goes longer than an hour. Mortal Kombat made $6 million. It's a solid number in COVID times, and it's a solid number because it is offered as part of the subscription service with HBO Max. So that's something. We also have, there they are. For $1,000,
so you can just talk.
For $1,000, Ryan, could you guess what was the number 2 movie? Unless you already know, unless you cheated and looked.
I want to say it was the one that Anthony Hopkins was in, because that's usually what happens, but I could be wrong.
That was number 10 or number 11. And actually no other Oscar movies got a bump. Other than the Father was 11. So Demon Slayer, which is an Japanese anime show, was in at number 2. Godzilla versus Kong in at number 3. Separation, which I couldn't tell you even a little bit what that's about. Ryan the Last Dragon, Nobody, the Bob Odenkirk movie, The Unholy, in at number 8 with only $720,000. But which, as someone who watched the box office religiously back in the day, like every single week, would even read it on Saturday and Sundays, $720,000 for a weekend is that would have been 40th place, and it's in the top 7 during this time. But in at number 8, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the 10th anniversary release.
I heard no promotions about that.
Nope. Yeah. And again, so Tom and Jerry in its 7, and then whatever Together was the top 10, and then I think Father was 11. So I will probably report, especially if we do a Monday show, report on the box office every week. And I'm hoping that as, restrictions start to change, that we see the numbers rise. Because I know personally, I wasn't going to see, I was not going to see Mortal Kombat in the theaters, but I definitely watched it because it was free. It was on my TV as part of my subscription. With so many of these, movies, I know that I will take advantage of that. So, yeah, I do. I personally do not like horror movies, Ron, but I've heard great things about Shudder. So,
Is that
yeah.
Which one is? Oh, not Shutter Island.
No, Shudder is the name of this like horror subscription service that shows a lot of horror movies and like horror.
Cool.
Yeah. And the other big kind of news that hit before the Marvel trailer broke. So, Olympia Dukakis, Oscar winner from Moonlight. That's not the name of it. Why can't I think of what the heck that movie was she was in? So, this is one that, like, in my retirement ceremony, you play this Richard's first newscast to see how poorly he did. Olympia Dukakis passed away at the age of 89. She is most well known for being in Steel Magnolias, Working Girl, Mr. Holland's Opus, and of course, she won the Oscar for that movie with Cher that was called.
That was that Moonlight? No,
it's not that movie.
Moonstruck.
Moonstruck. Thank you, Jammy Tones. Wow, that's really. Oh my God, am I going to have to thank Tammy Jones in my retirement speech? Thank you, Tammy. Yes, Moonstruck was it. Sure. Olympia Dukakis also, her son went to Drew University at the same time I did, so she was the commencement speaker my freshman year. So it was cool to see her speak, and a lot of kids that I graduated, or adults now, when she passed away this weekend, were sharing memories of working with her, taking classes with her, because she would come to the college and kind of work with the artists. I heard nothing but good things about her, so I'm excited about her.
I just caught that.
So now it feels like when people fake the bloopers, like that's what it feels like I'm doing here. Like, oh, all right. And the other big news that hit around 9:00 this morning was Marvel released their Phase 4 trailer, and that has become the first, something we will talk about in a little bit, but we will show that trailer. It does not give away a ton, and I don't know about you, but like, and I would have been very happy if it was just the first 2 minutes that kind of reminded us of the great things that have happened in the past, but it does hint at and show what's on the docket from now till 2024. And it does not include Disney Plus shows. So,
right.
Which again, it's crazy to think if you showed me this preview 5 years ago and just said, this is all the content you're getting for the next few years, I would have been ecstatic. But knowing that we're also getting probably just as much from Disney Plus shows, I am looking forward to that. So not much else in the news to be excited about other than a celebrity passing away and a pretty lackluster podcast. So, Ryan, did you see Mortal Kombat?
I saw Mortal Kombat. I finished it. And here's what I want to say, and then we'll start talking. Well, actually, let's jump into reviews if that's all right. So I watched half of it, couldn't finish it. It got away from me the entire week. Finished it up because I knew we were going to be doing a podcast on it. First split, I thought, okay, somebody definitely intended to make a cheesy 1990s martial arts movie, and I'm buying it. And then, like, I texted you and posted on Facebook at the end when everything wrapped up. Really, really enjoyed it. Definitely, obviously, room for improvement. A couple of things that, we can talk about after you give your side of the review. But overall, I thought it was a solid C plus B movie that you watch on a Sunday when there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, I think that is. If I'm pressed for a grade, it's in that C to C plus area. I don't come with a strong background of the video games, other than I watched a couple videos this weekend about our favorite characters, or the top Mortal Kombat characters, and I realized I've seen all of the movies. I think I'm missing one though, so I've seen 3 of the movies, and I realized, they stick with the characters that are from 93, 94. Like, they stick with Mortal Kombat 1 through 3 with somebody else. They're not getting into the newer characters because they are, they are reliant on the 30 plus crowd to come to the movies.
Yes.
If I go to school tomorrow, if Monica goes into her middle school tomorrow, any high school teachers here, the kids are playing Fortnite. The kids are playing. They're not playing Mortal Kombat. Like that's not, it's not a go-to game. That being said, it still has a lot of popularity. I'm sure the kids that do play it enjoy it, but I have a feeling that if we could see the sales of the video game, it's adults. So the movie very much feels aimed at like when they sat around and did their little planning session, they said, we have to have these characters, and we haven't used this, these few left. All right, let's go. And, and it was fine. Like I said, it was a C. Yeah, it was a C. Where the movie lost me, and spoilers for anyone, we probably should have said spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
No, I'm not necessarily saying anything crazy spoilerish. There's no tournament. And the way they even kind of mention they mention the tournament. They talk nonstop about the tournament, getting ready for the tournament. And then in that last like 10th of the movie, they're just like, we got to separate and fight, rating. Can you send us to fight these guys? And I'm like, oh, they wanted a tournament. We'll get we got these one-on-one fights, but there was no tournament. And, and that's kind of what's lacking. Have you ever seen Dragon Ball Z?
Bits and pieces, not as much of a fan as one of my good friends is of it. So bits and pieces.
But what Dragon Ball Z does is it takes, 80 episodes and it has a tournament, and it has a tournament. And the next season it's like, like in one season, it's like, this is the Universal tournament. And then the next season, this is the Universal Space 7 tournament. And Dragon Ball Z is also genius for, they drag out an episode, but it is just fighting. And then, there was a clear winner. It might take 3 episodes to do one fight, or sometimes 7 episodes to do one fight, but there's a winner. And we know that next week they'll go on to fight this person, or, and it follows a bracket. And I don't know how exciting a Mortal Kombat movie would be if it did that, but if a portion of it was dedicated to an actual tournament and we saw fighting, it would be interesting. I was not impressed with the fighting. I liked Kano, but I didn't want to like him, if that makes any sense.
I actually found a meme where my friend Raymond, I don't know if he's watching right now, sent it to me and said, report, actor who played, it said, report, Kano in the hospital. Did you see it?
Right.
Kano in the hospital for carrying his back pain for carrying the entire movie. Yeah, and he's actually what held my interest. I think I would have given up a lot sooner if it wasn't for that particular character.
I feel like I should know that guy too.
Yeah.
Unless he just has that Australian accent.
Josh Lawson? Nothing. Oh, he's an Anchorman too?
Oh, that's it.
Is that it? He's an Anchorman too?
That's exactly it.
The 11 o'clock, whatever that is.
No, 100%. No, he's in House of Lies, which I absolutely, that's how I know him. He's in House of Lies.
Yeah.
He was on Superstore. Yeah, he's in a bunch. He's really good.
Yeah, and one of the things I keep thinking, because I'm going to use the old cast to go into the new, if you will. So let's be honest, and Hollywood and society has come such a long way since 1995. It seems like it wasn't that long ago. I don't know if it does to you, but it was 1995, so years ago. I'm just going to use the term, and I apologize. I don't mean to offend anybody. I think Mortal Kombat, the original film, was a little whitewashed, if I'm being honest. And great cast. Let me just say great cast. We had Christopher Lambert. We had Lyndon Ashby. We had Bridget Wilson, who is now married, which I know a lot of guys are upset about.
To Andy, no, not Andy Roddick. Sampras. Yeah, Sampras.
Yeah,
that's it.
The tennis player.
Yep.
And then also, I can't remember. Let me try and pronounce his name. We all know who I'm talking about. Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa, who was Shang Tsung. And I said that to you, when we were texting about the film. Terrified me as a kid. I thought that the entire cast was well picked for Mortal Kombat, that, those characters in particular. And I think, and maybe you could agree with me here, that this particular cast also laid, well, I don't know how much you played it in the last few years, but laid the foundation for their characters in the years to come in the video games, if that makes sense.
Right. You couldn't, as much as they tried, they could not replace those characters.
Yeah. So great cast. And I think you and I said this when we randomly popped online. Paul S. Anderson, W.S. Anderson, who none of you, or if you don't know him, Alien versus Predator, the good one, the first one. Resident Evil, Mortal Kombat. So, like we said before, maybe not Oscar-worthy director, but definitely can keep you entertained. So, Mortal Kombat 1, or Mortal Kombat, the original, as we're referring to it. Great film. No issues with that. And
then when Mortal Kombat, the second one came out, I think we only kept one actor. One or two actors at the most.
Yeah, we kept two, right? And then I think Lyndon Ashby got killed right away in Annihilation.
Yes, he does. And then so we had a new Raiden.
Yeah.
Dexter's dad took over as the new Raiden, and I can't think of that.
I didn't watch Dexter. He's Dexter's dad.
He's Dexter's dad. Bridget Wilson was like, "All right, I did Billy Madison. I'm out." And but it was it's not a great movie, and but again, that's the problem here is you have a fighting movie with which you're expecting to see a tournament, and it's always about and again, this tournament is to determine control of the outer realm and the inner, and who controls Earth, and like they don't ever have the tournament; they just have the hijinks leading up to Shang Tsung and Goro. Everyone's just always trying to take over Earth, and they're fighting, which again, I think. Again, we always talk about how easy it is, except I'm sure if we were in the pitch meeting, we would have been like, I don't know how you fix it. But 2020 hindsight, maybe just take a minute and say, there should be a tournament happening, but we've, we're not, I don't know. But I will tell you with the new one, Cole was the new character.
Yes, Lewis.
Who I don't know if he's anything, except, and again, spoilers.
He was the Aquaman.
Right, he brought out his Aquaman armor, but if at the end, instead of Aquaman armor, he was just Scorpion. And it was like, you are the great, 17 times removed grandson of Scorpion. Yep. You now get the Scorpion mantle. That would have worked.
Yes, I agree 100%.
And again, at the time I watched the movie, I didn't know the backstory that Scorpion is a demon. So like he was always going to, but this is the issue they have with these movies with sequels is, you kill all these people, but then you want Kano back for that sequel. You want Sub-Zero back for the sequels, but they kill them, and that's where it would be neat if they treated it like Dragon Ball Z and like a tournament where like then at the end Shang Tsung or somebody's just like, I'm using my power to bring back my best fighters. You won the tournament this year, and even if it seemed cheesy, but. So Mortal Kombat Solid C sounds like from the Ryan Mercer project with Richard Masso. Yeah, again, but listen, if you're flipping around one lazy Sunday afternoon and it's on TNT, it won't be as good because they'll have cut out the curse words and the gore, so maybe don't watch it. So. Which again, like, and if they make a Mortal Kombat in 20 years, 40, like, we have to say the word fatality. We have to say. Get over here. Right. Like,
two things. The first thing I want to say is that Hiroyuki Sanada, who some of you probably don't know by name, but let me bring him up on the screen here because you're going to be like, oh, that guy. Here we go. This gentleman right here. Richard might remember him from Endgame. He was the one that...
the Hawkeye was fighting?
Hawkeye was fighting. He stood out in his The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise.
That's right.
An awesome job as Scorpion. I just want to say that I know a lot of people had an issue with his Get Over Here that was said or released during the trailer. They were like, oh, it sounds cheesy, this and that. For the haters, his first language is not English, and I think that they did edit that come the film.
Okay.
So that's just one point I want to make is that I think he's a standout actor. I definitely think we might see him win an Oscar of some sort if the Oscars stick around.
I was going to say, did you just nail a segue there?
I was going to say, Richard, not segue. Don't let it take you right in. Okay. But I think he's a very talented actor, and I was happy to see him in the role. And it looks like we're going to see him in the sequel. But one thing I wanted to talk to you about, and it's a note that my friend Grayson made when we were just talking randomly on Christmas break. He pointed out that he thinks that movies are going to be bad for the next few years, and he cited what happened after the writer's strike when they stopped making movies, they stopped writing and directing for a little bit, and then suddenly all these movies came out. Transformers 2 was trash. I was waiting on that. I was hoping it was going to be amazing. I think a few other films fell through the cracks. I I want to say maybe that's what happened here with Mortal Kombat, but I also want to say that I really hope that's not the case because there's so many good movies that are supposed to come out this year in the next few years. I really hope that's not the case, but what do you think about the pandemic hindering their ability to make solid films?
Yeah, that's quite possible. I think we could also see some things where people were contracted to do something and then it didn't work. They've stretched themselves out, or in retrospect. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. We saw a lot of subpar stuff after the writer's strike, and then there were people rushing to get stuff done. Yeah, I hadn't actually thought about that. That's a really good point. Yeah, we could see. I forget what I was watching yesterday, so this comment, as always, makes no sense. But I remember thinking, like, this looks a little cheesy, and I'm wondering if it was because they filmed it during quarantine or I think that's what we're going to see in the next, like this summer. I think we're going to see some things where we're like, yeah, this isn't quite, because they couldn't film it. They couldn't film this normally. So I'm curious if that's what we'll see more of, and that maybe we'll see an improvement in the next year because once they can start filming in normal, I keep watching these scenes that Law and Order OC, and I'm like, all right, I know that's been filmed in the last 6 months. But they have these crowd scenes, I'm like, oh, yeah, like it's crazy. Like, I can do a whole 20 minutes on both Law and Orders and how they treat masks, where it's like, especially Law and Order SVU, like you want it to be realistic and have a mask, but then they never wear them because you're not going to cover up Benson's face. You're not going to cover up so
and the person that you need to talk to in the grocery store doesn't have their mask on, so we know you're going to talk to them, but everybody behind them has their
everyone
mask
behind
on.
them has.
I know it's the same thing. I hate it.
So all the extras have it. So it's So I'm curious to see how this happens because and with some of these movies, especially like the big, how much CGI are we going to see, and then how cheesy is that going to look? So
yeah,
but hey, maybe one of those films will win an Oscar.
Just as long as they don't screw up Top Gun 2, man. I need that to be right. I've literally been waiting on it 2 years now, man.
There's an outside chance that movie began screwed up. So,
really,
my awesome coworker Kay, I was talking with her today, and she actually didn't know. She didn't actually know the answer for her, but she was retired Air Force, and I said to her, "What are the chances that Tom Cruise is flying?" The original film is 35 years ago.
Yeah.
What is the chance? And again, what is he in the original film? Like 25, 26?
Yeah, he's a baby.
He's like a bright, but again, he's not 18.
Yeah.
Either way, worst case scenario, he's 56, but he's probably 60 something, and his character is 60 something.
Yeah.
And I don't believe you're in a plane. You know what I'm saying? Like in the Air Force. That's just me saying, and again, it'll be also curious to see where this movie goes. I do know from seeing Val Kilmer in person at a comic book show a couple years ago, I've never seen anything like it, how much they kept him under wraps. Usually like a celebrity will walk and you'll see the celebrity somewhere, which I can't imagine why he was doing photo ops, but he was so self-conscious about how his face looked because he hadn't been well.
Oh, that's right. He was sick for a little bit.
Yeah, he was sick. So I got to imagine that. So I'm predicting that he's in for 10 minutes and he dies. And then his son is inspired by his dad and says, Maverick, show me how to fly like my dad did. And,
oh, yeah. Goose's son. He looks like him, too.
Yeah. Oh, is that what it is? It's not Iceman. It's not Iceman's son. It's
Goose's son.
Okay.
And then they got, what's his name?
Oh, then my whole plot is shot then. Yeah. Is Meg Ryan back?
No. Wait, not Meg Ryan. The Meg Ryan, you're thinking Under Siege because she popped out Under Siege.
Meg Ryan was Goose's girlfriend, wife.
Oh yes! Holy crap! I forgot, and she was all upset when he. I thought you were talking about the love interest that Tom Cruise is with. I always forget her name. She didn't.
Kelly McGillis.
I hope she's not listening. I'm sure she's very nice.
Yes, I was going to say Kelly is super nice, but she does not look.
That's not the Kelly we met.
Yes, that is not the Kelly we met. She is because again, it's the. Welcome to Change of Topic, Part 4 in the Ryan
and everybody signed off because they think we're jamming.
Because I'm going to start screaming about it, but it's the crappiness and I have females in my life who do it too. Like when a woman gets work, you're crappy for getting work. When she doesn't get work, she looks like crap. Ryan Mercer looks the same as Tom Cruise looks the same as he did. He doesn't look that different to me, in my opinion.
No, he looks great.
Like there's going to be a volleyball scene because he can take his shirt off because he worked out, whatever. Again, he's got Scientology backing him up. But Kelly McGillis looks like, she looks like 37 years have happened. She looks like what she should look like. And that's just the craziness of it, So
and I always think the part where 20 years from now they go, "Hey, remember that time Ryan and Richard said this? You got to cancel them."
Yeah, this is where right. This is exactly it. Richard commented on it, but again, I'm not saying anything negative. It's just
not at all.
Yeah, but again, still doesn't mean that someone. Yeah, again, I truly expect that if Alexis's friends listen to us, they'd be like, "Nope, cancel them." They said
canceled. They're done.
They're done. So totally up to you. We can segue to Marvel, or we can segue to Oscars.
Why don't we segue to the Oscars, ladies and gentlemen, so you can cancel us before we talk about
Marvel. So when you don't want to hear us Marvel, you can peace out.
You can double cancel us.
Right.
But yeah, so we're gonna jump into the Oscars, and let me bring this up real quick on the screen to share the screen. The Oscars. Oscar viewership rises to 10.4 million in final numbers. That means a few days later they put all the final numbers together, and it remains the least watched and lowest rated Academy Awards ever. A couple reasons Richard and I wanted to do this. I'm just going to go first because I think Richard has a lot to say real quick. Love the Academy Awards. Always watched with my mom growing up. Always loved movies. It was, a movie that maybe I haven't seen. Saving Private Ryan or something like that. Avatar. Watching all these people win, giving all these great speeches, being inspired, seeing how much it takes to make a movie. Love the Oscars. About 2 or 3 years ago, I couldn't do it, and I don't know if it was a political or the jokes were bad or a mix of everything, but I just could not do it. And look at Renee helping us out, saying it was boring. Lindsay, hi, also talking about Marvel. We're going to get to that. But yes, I haven't watched the Oscars in quite some time for the reasons I just mentioned, but I know Richard has a few things he wants to say on this, so here we go.
So I didn't watch it, but so I've also word for word what you said, except just the 20-year difference in our ages. But yeah, again, I grew up watching the Oscars. It was a big deal, it's Oscar night. And I loved it because, as a 12-year-old, as a 13-year-old, it's not like today. I don't know why I said that. So anyone listening, it was not like it for me. That's when you got exposed to the movies. That's when you heard about what the movies were. And so that was a big deal. Whereas today, I feel like if you sat down as a teenager, either you have no interest because you have no interest in those movies because you can see you have so much more available to you. Myself as a 13-year-old in 1986, it was what was on the 4 or 5 television stations that we had. And then it was, that was it. And then the movies you went to, which you went to see certain movies. That being said, I would say Shannon and I have been together for 15 years. Probably the last 10 years, we've tried with varying results to see every movie. So we could, when we watch the Oscars, and the last few years, we've got it even down to where we were trying to watch documentaries and short films. We were really, really into it.
Yeah.
So last Sunday afternoon, Shannon's just sitting there and watching a commercial, and it's for the Oscars. And she goes, "Oh, when is that?" Tonight, Shannon.
Right.
Tonight. Now, and this is someone who, and again, it normally would have happened February, like the middle of February, the end of February.
Right, yeah.
So it was 2 months later, so I'm sure that threw her off. But also, we hit a point after, we started the new year watching everything. We watched a ton of stuff, and then we just hit a point. WandaVision took over, and Falcon and Winter, and then that's what we were doing, and then we just kind of fell out of finding the movies. And again, it wasn't necessarily about the quality of the movies, though. If anyone saw the movie Mank, that really took us, that really crushed us. It was a very interesting retelling of something, but so to not go on and on, the problem this year was twofold. One, it wasn't the normal event. So most of my, certain coworkers and certain people were like, you make an event. You invite 10 peoples over. You watch the dresses. You get dressed up. You do champagne. It's you treat it like an event. Even if you haven't seen the movies, you comment on what they wear. You watch the speeches. You talk about Jennifer Lawrence trips. And then normally there's a movie or two that everyone has seen. So a couple years ago when A Star Is Born was there, so many people had seen A Star Is Born, so they're watching for Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga. They're watching for the musical performances. There are a bunch of things that people watch for that aren't necessarily about how great the movies are.
Real quick, I'm sorry, big year, right? What was his name? Rami
Malek, yeah.
And I think that was like the last big Academy Award.
That was it. 2 years ago. Yeah, because last year was thrown off, and then this year. Last year wasn't really thrown off, but yeah, it just felt different. But this year was just different. But I thought you have a great opportunity here to do something different, and I think maybe I'm stealing Bill Maher's words unconsciously. It's funny. It's like you get up in the morning and you can choose it to be anything, and you chose wrong. Like they chose wrong. Like they chose. I personally, one of my favorite memories of growing up watching the Oscars, even though it's something that has become a trope and people kind of make fun of, is they play a minute clip of the person performing. I talk about Tropic Thunder. Like that's where we saw they would show a clip of the performance. And that's actually how Tropic Thunder starts, right? I think it's all the cast members who are in that movie. They're all at the Oscars. So they show, but that's what the Oscars are. You get to see a movie, a minute of the movie, see how well the actor did. Even if you didn't see the movie, you get to see, Anthony Hopkins going, "But don't tell me what I can't do." You get to see these famous lines, and you see it. And maybe sometimes you see the same movie, like on a Silence of the Lamb year or a Titanic year. You see the same movie over and over again. But still, that for me is an attention, focus. Great. So I said, this year, that's what they're going to do. They're really going to show a lot of the clips. And I turned the Oscars on, and it's Lauren Dern sitting there. And she's like, all right, here are the 5 nominees for Best Supporting Actor or Best Actor. And I'm going to interview them. I'm going to say, hey, how you doing? Like, did not show a clip of their performance. Just was like, hey, what did you think about your motivation for the character? And I was like, wow, like that's a choice, And again, fast forward. Like, I don't want to see that. I want to see, again, what a chance to have like musical performances and also to control the time, Oh
yeah.
So, again, I feel like I'm consistently talking here. The big criticism, and then I'm going to segue this so you can talk about it. One of the big criticism is always the length. They start and it doesn't end until 12:30. And there's musical numbers. There's goofy, like Ellen goes out and tries to take a selfie with 40 people. Like, like just give the awards, even if it's the award for like best lighting on a Thursday, you do it. You give out the awards and and let the person come up and give a speech. Now, I think some of the other criticisms we've had over the year are the speeches.
Yeah. Is that a segue?
That was a perfect segue.
All right, so here we go. We're going to show 2 speeches. The first one we're going to show, and we are not interested in what has happened since, just so making that clear right now. First one we're going to show is Cuba Gooding Jr. winning Best Supporting Actor for, I was going to say Tom Cruise. Jerry Maguire with Tom Cruise. Great film. We all know that we quote it to this day. When it comes to money, show us the money. I'll watch it anytime it's on. But again, we're not talking about what has happened since. We're talking about what has happened then. And then we're going to jump into Joaquin Phoenix's speech, which happened about 2 or 3 years ago. So first up, Cuba Gooding Jr.
And the Oscar goes to Cuba Gooding Jr. and Jerry Maguire.
I know I have a little bit of time, so I'm going to rush and say everybody, and you can cut away. I won't be mad at you. Tom said, don't forget to thank your wife. I will never forget to thank my high school sweetheart and the mother of my children, Spencer and Mason. I love you, Sarah. And my parents who are here, Shirley and Cuba the First. And God, I love you. Hallelujah. Thank you, Father God, for putting me through what you put me through, but I'm here and I'm happy. I just want to, here we go. Okay, the studio, I love you, and Cameron Crowe, and Tom Cruise. I love you, brother. I love you, man. Derek Bro, Sean Settles, Keith Butler, all my behind-the-scenes crew. Regina King, I love you. You did a great job when we made the movie. Everybody involved with the movie, I love you. Oh, my goodness. Here we are. I love you. I'm going to keep going. Harley Junior Agency, everybody. I love you. I love you all. Cameron Crowe, James L. Brooks. James L. Brooks, I love you. Everybody who's involved with this, I love you. I love you. I love you. Everybody involved.
Lots of energy. You know, obviously very happy to win the award. The crowd's going wild. Everybody's happy. Cuba's happy. And I make this point, and we'll talk about it more. I don't think I'm going to run this in its entirety, but next up, Joaquin Phoenix winning for the Joker, or Joker rather. Here we go.
Winning an Oscar ages you. Hello there. Thank you for having me back. It's such a pleasure to be here. Last year was the best.
Skipping ahead.
No, people get touched. So weird.
So he just said stop.
God, I'm full of so much gratitude right now. And I do not feel elevated above any of my fellow nominees or anyone in this room because we share the same love, the love of film, and this form of expression has given me the most extraordinary life. I don't know what I'd be without it. But I think the greatest gift that it's given me, and many of us in this room, is the opportunity to use our voice for the voiceless. I've been thinking a lot about some of the distressing issues that we are facing collectively. And I think at times we feel, or we're made to feel, that we champion different causes. But for me, I see commonality. I think whether we're talking about gender inequality or racism or queer rights or indigenous rights or animal rights, we're talking about the fight against injustice. We're talking about the fight against the belief that one nation, one people, one race, one gender, or one species has the right to dominate, control, and use and exploit another with impunity. I think that we've become very disconnected from the natural world, and many of us, what we're guilty of is an egocentric worldview, the belief that we're the center of the universe. We go into the natural world and we plunder it for its resources. We feel entitled to artificially inseminate a cow, and when she gives birth, we steal her baby, even though her cries of anguish are unmistakable. And then we take her milk that's intended for a calf, and we put it in our coffee and our cereal. And I think we fear the idea of personal change because we think that we have to sacrifice something to give something up. But human beings at our best are so inventive and creative and ingenious. And I think that when we use love and compassion as our guiding principles, we can create, develop, and implement systems of change that are beneficial to all sentient beings and to the environment. Now, I've been a scoundrel in my life. I've been selfish. I've been cruel at times, hard to work with, and ungrateful. but so many of you in this room have given me a second chance. And I think that's when we're at our best, when we support each other, not when we cancel each other out for past mistakes.
Okay. And no disrespect to Joaquin, but we also want to be able to talk about Marvel tonight. So I'm just going to take the reason that I wanted to compare those two speeches. I was thinking about it all weekend. Nothing against Joaquin Phoenix. I want to make that very clear. I think he made some very valid points. When I heard that speech, I remember texting somebody who is vegan. I'm not vegan, but they're vegan. And I remember saying, I am ready to go vegan. Like, his words impacted me, and I felt them. Looking back at it, and Richard and I talked about this while we were getting prep ready, because I said, I hope I don't offend anybody by comparing the two speeches. So let's say real quick, I'm thinking about Cuba. We got good energy. He's happy to win the award. He's grateful to be there. He's just so excited and lost in the moment, and it's beautiful, right? Again, nothing against Joaquin, but what I simply said to Richard prior was, I feel like there's a time and a place. Now, again, I don't disagree with Joaquin, but it kind of put a damper on the mood. I'm just going to say, right? And I don't think Joaquin's alone in speaking his mind when he wins the award or anything of that nature. We see it a lot more these days.
Ton of people do it, yeah.
Ton of people do it. But one of the things that has turned me off, and I'm saying it, and please don't crucify me for it, is a time and a place. That's just me personally. If people feel that it's okay for stars or whoever, writers, producers, directors, to use the award as the platform to speak on certain matters, that's your opinion. I respectfully disagree, but I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that it's one of the things that has turned me away from the Oscars. What do you think?
No, I think that's fair. It's your opinion. But I think if they were here, they would say to you, yeah, that's your opinion, but yeah, this is our I think the difference, one of the interesting differences between those two speeches, obviously, is Joaquin was pretty confident. He knew he was winning. It was pretty set, and so he knew he was coming up with this level of he could make this speech. Whereas, and again, you also saw they shut down Cuba
real quick.
Joaquin wasn't even at his cow part of the speech when Cuba's music was playing. But again, but Cuba's was from this place of pure joy, and you see that at least once a show, this pure joy.
And that's what I used to love. I'm sorry, not to cut. That's what the Oscars used to be. It was like woo woo, and I posted on our page yesterday the most memorable speech to me, and I didn't play it because I know it's a little longer. Was Julia Roberts and Aaron Brockovich, and I remember to this day she told them turn that timer off because I don't think I'm ever going to be here again. Right. Energy, excited, happy to be there. Yeah, I just don't think you see it these days.
And this year. And I apologize, I'm not even going to try to disrespect her. The supporting actress was a woman from Minari. It was the South, and she's a famous South Korean actress. She even got up and said, "This is how you say my name." I'm huge in South Korea, but and then she immediately started joking about Brad Pitt, like, "Oh, Mr. Brad Pitt, so nice to meet you." I can't believe I'm meeting you. And this is, she's in her 60s, maybe 70, and she was winning, and she had that kind of like, yeah, this is my chance to be here. I probably say this at least 10 times a podcast. I wish my memory was better. I remember going to my buddy's house. It was 2003, 2004 when we were in just gone to Afghanistan. And I remember like this was a different Richard too back then. Like, oh, every speech is going to acknowledge the war. Every speech is going to acknowledge peace. I remember I was kind of like, oh, like just get up and talk about the movie. Now 18 years later, I would be like, yeah, give them, that's their pulpit. That's when they want to express themselves. And, but to stay in the vacuum that is your point, they 100%, that is 100% a reason that Americans may shut that show off or may say to themselves, let me say it this way. A lot of Americans will write, sorry, I was about to do an accent. A lot of Americans will write on Facebook, I'm not watching the NFL. They let that guy kneel. I'm not watching the NFL. Nobody has stopped watching the NFL. They are still watching football. But it's much easier to say, I'm not going to watch the Oscars where I didn't see any, especially this year. I didn't see any of these movies. I'm not watching. So I think that's where we kind of see this. Yeah, they aren't watching it. And yeah, there are years. and I don't want the Oscars to change. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
I don't want them to become the MTV Movie Awards.
No.
I don't want them to let in. I actually really liked Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, but they were not quite considered Oscar worthy. Black Panther was considered Oscar worthy. That was like so cool for me. I was like, I really thought maybe they had a chance of winning. But yeah, I don't want it to be like, oh, Billy Madison's here, and like, oh, the latest, comedies here. I like that it's movies that make you think. And if you go back and you look at hundreds of years worth of Oscar movies, you've heard of most of them, Yeah. But again, I also can look back over the last 10 years and say, oh, Moonlight won, and I didn't see it. La La Land almost won. I didn't see, that year I just didn't see some of them. Because sometimes they're not, they just don't grab you. And I think what happens is we, so we look for things, and we look for things like the speeches, like you said, didn't disagree with the thing Joaquin's saying. Like, I remember that speech, and I haven't thought about that speech once since you're playing it again. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not at all happy about the fact that we take their
not at all.
Like, no,
I totally agree with him.
Also, I'm gonna go finish the rest of my burger when we're finished this, but I hate that I'm doing that.
And I do want to say, because I as somebody who, and I'm owning up to my mistake right here. I have learned since, and I get it now. And Richard and I talked about this on a different podcast. And I think Richard knew this right away, why Black Panther was nominated at that time. I posted on Facebook. I'm owning up right now. If you bring it back to cancel me years later, I'm owning up to it right here, right now. I said, I don't think that Black Panther deserves an Oscar nomination. But to what you said, at that time, to me, Oscars were Saving Private Ryan, Schindler's List. Things that were entertaining, Oscar worthy, if you will, perhaps not as entertaining in the view of younger audiences, if you will. But I think that's. I'm trying to say what my mind has viewed the Oscars like for all this time. And yes, it's films where it's kind of like, this could be considered boring, but it's not. It's artwork. It builds up. There's a point that you have to really look for. It's there. There's no words attached to it, but you have to watch to get it. Like, Schindler's List, or, something a very talented, or maybe, not talented, not experienced director. Every once in a while that happens. It's the Oscar winner. It was their first film, and they just nailed it. But, when we think Oscars, maybe you and I, because this is the time that we grew up in, we think Steven Spielberg, we think John Williams, best score, stuff like that. But timers are moving along. And now it's like in this weird phase where it's like Chadwick Boseman. They said it was a snub, and his family was like, no, that wasn't a snub.
Right.
Like, why would you say it was a snub? Nobody meant to snub Anthony Hopkins. Sir Anthony Hopkins, one of the greatest actors of all time. But when you say that the Oscars snubbed them, it's like, whoa, this isn't we are going to pick who wins because everybody thinks that person should win. And I actually respect his family coming out and saying, like, no, this wasn't a snub. Like, if Anthony Hopkins earned it after a lifelong career and giving a great performance, then he earned it. But remember, Heath Ledger won it posthumously, and maybe that could be where people get tangled up.
And if we look at, and again, like, I think Heath won supporting actor, and if we Google who he was up against, but it was one of those things that I knew from the second they were like, oh, Chadwick still has a movie out, and it was like, yeah, he's going to get Oscar buzz. All right. And he's not done anything bad, Chadwick Boseman. But yeah, again, if Chadwick Boseman could send us a message, it would be, yeah, I lost to Anthony Hopkins. Like, I'm good. I'm
glad I lost to Anthony Hopkins.
Why we're even a little bit, like, one of the reasons, is Oscar, for whatever reason, first time and ever, decides to announce best movie and then announce best actress and best actor. They were going for, oh, Chadwick's going to win. We're going to get the, and everyone's going to tune in and stay tuned in to see Chadwick get announced. Oscar did. I just think that's crappy.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Again, but also, and again, it also really proves that they don't know the winners. Those envelopes are sealed.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It really proves that, because that's the thing. Because they also, like, they shut down Anthony Hopkins. Like Anthony Hopkins, is like, if I win, I'll be around for Zoom, and they're like, nah, because I don't think they thought he was going to win. I think they were like, yeah, you're good. You don't need to. You know,
don't stay up that late.
Right.
You know,
so the movie, so the show ends. Oops, it wasn't who we thought was going to win, and also he's not here to accept it because he's 83 and it's coronavirus times, and he's not. Where you just like, yeah, really, guys, like. And again, if that happened, and then they went on to announce Best Actress, and then they went on to announce the movie, it would have been great. It would have been fine. Excuse me, it would have been great because I don't think they had any more people watching it based on any of those things. I think
everybody clicked off.
Yeah, I think that in 2020 we watched The Tiger King, we binge watched shows. I don't think they did a great job of letting us know that we could watch these movies. How many like Nomadland? I love Nomadland. And it's like, it's on Hulu, and people just didn't know, but again, like the movies were exhausting, and that might be for me. I'll put my final note on it. This was a year where the movies were exhaustingly depressing, there was just, like Shannon and I did, our big weekend was the Trial of the Chicago 7, dealing with 1968 race issues and, war protests and a horrendously depressing trial. Judas and the Black Messiah, dealing with the same exact topic, except from the perspective of the Black Panthers in 1968. Incredibly depressing. And as a history major, I'm sitting there knowing the stories, listening to Shanna go, stop it. No. Oh my, what? I'm like, oh, sorry. Like, she's like, why aren't you upset? I'm like, I know this. I know how it's going to end. And I was like, yes, it made it. And then The Sound of Metal, which was about a drummer losing his hearing and he has to learn sign. And again, depressing, and it ended with, spoilers, it ends with no clear answer. You don't know if he's going to be with the girl. So that's a little kick in the butt, and Nomadland is depressing, depending on your perspective. It's either depressing or the coolest thing. But again, it's about a woman who lives in her van and ekes by her living, but it makes her happy. Some days the van runs out of gas and she's freezing in Alaska. Like, it is all phenomenal movies, but nothing that you're going to be like, oh my God. Like, I wasn't picking up the phone going,
So you just lost a family member. Don't watch this. Don't.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Oh, yeah. You dealt with this. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't want to be reminded of horrendous. Yeah. And so that was, and I think that was a little bit part of it. And so like the movies I didn't watch, like Father, which was about, an 83-year-old man going through dementia and his family dealing with that. Like, Minari, about a South Korean family moving, and them dealing with racism and the struggles of, like every movie. This was not like, not that Titanic is a fun movie, but Titanic is a fun movie in the element of like, there's some, yeah, right.
There's some jokes, there's some laughter, right. There's some
1970, like Saving Private Ryan, like there's war, there's elements of like the action movie to some of these that wind up winning. I mean, Silence of the Lambs, again, none of these are like fun movies that we're naming, but Godfather, Silence of the Lambs, these movies have a little more than just the depression to them part, so
if anybody's listening, please start making happy films or medium happy films. That's one of my biggest problems these days. Songs, movies.
Do you know somebody who might be making some happy movies soon?
Oh my goodness. You know what? If you are ever down in the dumps, you're not feeling well, don't worry, because Marvel still has your back. Marvel will always have your back. It's there on Disney Plus, the little click button. They're not paying us. We wish that they were, but So, in Richard's terms, segue, if Richard and I end up crying, I think that we both teared up a little bit watching this. It's a very intense, well-done trailer. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
And it was more goosebump kind of like tears, not
like sad.
Not sad. Not when like, a puppy reunites with their parents, or a soldier comes home and his family's crying, like, or someone with special needs like wins a race or like scores a touch. Like, I have certain things that will make me cry, but this was a different, this was a happy cry. Yeah.
All right, I'm ready to go because I thought, not like leave, but like I have this trailer up on the screen again. And for those of you that haven't seen this, just get ready to get amped up. I know that we've all been strapped in for the last 11 or 12 years. We still love everything that's going on with Marvel, leading back to WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Here we go.
I love being with people. It's the most incredible thing in the world.
What are you doing? Oh, this is nice.
That world may change and evolve. But the one thing that will never change, we're all part of one big family. That man next to you, he's your brother. That woman over there, she's your sister.
Higher, further, faster, baby.
That's right.
We're all part of one universe
Wakanda forever!
that moves ever upward and onward to greater glory.
On your left.
I can't wait till we do this again. Like,
I can't wait.
here and later.
I've lived a lot of lives. But I'm done running from my past. We have unfinished business.
Who's we?
When you love something, you fight for it. We're the ones who changed everything.
Richard, take it away, brother.
That's cool. So one thing, when I watched this morning on my phone real quick, I did not see the dates. And it's still crazy to look at something that says 2022 and realize, oh, wait, that's actually within 7 months. Like it's not that long away. So thoughts in order are, yeah, that's cool. That great showing of the fan reaction to Endgame. And then, yeah, we're here with the future. So I can't decide what I want to say first. So excited about all the movies. I think it's going to be interesting because Shang-Chi and Eternals are a totally new, most people have heard of the other characters. So this is going to be interesting to kind of see if these new characters hit, if that Guardians of the Galaxy movie of unknowns can be replicated. And I think we'll see, because both Miss Marvel and Ant-Man kind of pulled that off. They weren't super popular, super well known. Just again, like, oh wow, this December there's a new Spider-Man movie, and it's going to be, I imagine, amazing, with all these cool things, which again will lead to this winter with Doctor Strange. So it's like I'm actually so focused on. I'm like, all right, just get through to Spider-Man and then Doctor Strange, because that's where I think we're going to see the one thing. And this is totally making this. I'm making this totally up on my head. They showed Killmonger in that kind of like showing everyone, and I know it fit perfectly with whatever words are being said at the time, but is this the time to start the Killmonger is alive and in a Wakandan like hospital somewhere. He is fun.
I want to see them all live. I want to see Killmonger, Claw. I want to see them all come back and mess stuff up.
Right. No, but I can see Killmonger becoming the new Black Panther if they decide to have. That's what me again. If I know that everything has been thinking that Shuri is going to be the new Black Panther, but
oh man, you just blew my mind.
But also this is where the new 2021 way of thinking. If they go that route, people who are like, no, wait, give it to Shuri. She's, she actually becomes Black Panther in the comics. Let her have it. So that was the thing that popped in my head. The other thing is, and I didn't see it on here, but there is a photo going around of everything that has Fantastic Four's picture on it. And it wasn't in this video. So there's potential for
the picture or the trailer.
The picture. Did you see Fantastic Four in the trailer and I didn't see it?
Yeah.
You did see it?
Yeah.
Am I crazy then? Yeah, maybe
Right
Richard's crazy.
Oh, but actually, so this is Fantastic Four. I know for a fact because I've seen it. But somebody did say what you just said in the comments. Oh, where did it get you? Oh, 2 minutes and 55 seconds. Is this a 4 to Fantastic Four or Phase 4? But
no, I think it's a Fantastic Four, and I think they just didn't deal with it.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're not on my screen. Hold on.
That's fair.
Here we go. And for anybody who's watching,
yeah. Okay, that's it. Oh, yeah, I don't know if that's... Yeah, no, that's Fantastic Four symbol, but also Phase 4, so...
A great segue. Yeah, I am super excited. One thing I want to point out, and this might sound very, very, small to everything that's going on in this trailer. When they said, I can't remember the exact dialogue, but when they're about to show all the names, they're like, it'll be worth the wait. It's like, did you guys think that we weren't interested or something? We're talking about WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, we are locked in. I know that you're big on this too, or I believe you are. I think we talked about this. I would love to see this play out like life, like the real world, which I think Marvel does a really good job of doing, like integrating the characters and everything where the world feels real. What I mean by that is, let's see Tom Holland get a little bit older. Let's see him, meet his love interest. Let's see Shang-Chi start training him. And keep that going. Like, I don't know, even to Phase 5, and then maybe Tom Holland's the Captain America leading the crew, or you're more familiar with the storylines than I am. But I think they are doing a very, very good job, and you can speak to this more, obviously, of, they broke our hearts and stepped on it by, getting rid of some characters that we came to love over the last 12 years. But I think they're doing a really good job of integrating the next phase, like through Disney Plus and through this trailer, and keeping some familiars, Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. I think they're, and Kevin Feige, we're talking about you again. They just it's continue to hit all the notes.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it any better. They really do. They really have seemed to. They've got this figured out. And again, with all those 9 or 10 movies that were listed, which there's that many TV shows to complement them and fill in the little gaps, which may or may not tie in, but will one not be perfect? Yeah. Like, people did not love Captain Marvel. I enjoyed it. I thought it was solid, but people did not love it. I think Ant-Man and Wasp wasn't as great, but again, it still was solid. But people will go see these movies because, like you said, if at some part in, if the end credit scene of Shang-Chi is Peter Parker walking in and saying, hey, I want, even if it's just Doctor Strange walking in, or, that's all you need. All they need to hear is that word of mouth. And then people are, oh my goodness. And that's the key. And then that's something that I don't think we brought it up in our Marvel podcast, but they need to be given all the credit in the world for that genius idea of they didn't invent the after credit scene, but they invented using it as a storytelling tool. I miss a lot of things. One of the things I look forward to when we can go back to the movie, or when I decide to go back to the movies, is sitting in a Marvel movie, and then when it's over, the people who get up and leave and just going, what, why, where, how do you not, I refuse to believe that you don't know like that something's going to happen here, or like you've got somewhere to go. Like I don't understand. So, but yeah, like,
but I'm sure your Facebook algorithm is the same as mine, where you go to the news button and they have what the post credit scene of Falcon and Winter, like it's such a big deal to what you're saying. Like people are like, yo, you better stay till after the credits.
Yeah, and again, they're even doing it a little bit with Falcon and Winter Soldier and the TV shows. So yeah, I really think that they're on the right track. There will be, and what Guardians of the Galaxy 100% proved is, if I go back in my time machine to a month before that came out, and I walk around and interview all of you and say, who is this? You're not naming one of those characters. Not one. Like, not one. You might look at the raccoon and be like, he's a raccoon, and just say his name, but that's it. You're not saying Groot's name. You're not saying Star-Lord, Drax, none of them. And, now like your sons in a couple years are going to be saying, I am Groot, and playing with the toys because they're, because that's how successful that was. And Ant-Man has his success, and you see people just doing the guy who tells the stories, like, so I knew a guy who knew a guy, and Paul Rudd was a great casting there. So that's the key. Like, you look at that, and I wish I could remember the comedian's name. There's a comedian in Eternals who got all buff for the show.
Oh, I know you're talking about.
Right. But again, like, that's the king. Like, that's the idea here, is you're going to have these, like, by the way, when I go back in my time machine, I also go around and show a picture of Deadpool to everyone. Like, Marvel properties, whether through Sony or Marvel's, they have just been so successful the past 20 years. And I'm really excited that Phase 4 is officially, here. And we'll see with this. Thank you.
Maria swung in.
Yeah. And thank you. That's exactly how I would have pronounced it too. So he has a great movie. I love this. This is my podcast. He also has a great movie about how he met his fiance, and then she went into a coma. So check it out. I don't know the name of it, but check it out.
But give it a look on IMDb and figure it out.
Yeah, right. So that's right. If you missed my news segment earlier, you should consider yourself lucky, because next week the news segment is going to be phenomenal. I'll just tell the same news as this week, but just get it right. So. So that being said, beyond looking forward to it, not that I ever wasn't, I will say that Black Widow is not like, if Black Widow was coming out in the movie theaters on Friday, I don't know if it's like, and again, Mr. Murray, the big sick, thank you so much. Mr. Murray is someone who I think just in my memories today, we were at a movie. Mr. Murray will come to Marvel movies with Shannon and I, and we'd be like, yeah, we have to have a ticket, 7:00, we're there. Black Widow's one, I don't know if I was busy, I'll see it Saturday, I'll see it Sunday. And again, the same way, like, I will pay for it and I will see it when it comes out. But these other ones, I will make a point of seeing them, just because there's something new and exciting about it. And I'm looking forward to that. And one last thing I was going to say was,
rocket.
A coworker of mine was talking about this today, and it needs to happen. And I don't know if they have plans for it, but Marvel needs to do something, whether it's its own show, like, and call it like the blip. Like, it's so fascinating to me about these people that disappear for 5 years.
Yes.
Like, it needs to happen. And my friend who was saying that, my coworker who was saying this was like, yo, you should do a sitcom and call it The Blips. And it's all these, like, because
hilarious.
Because legit, and none of this is meant to be comedy, but you blip out of existence today. All right. Monica's upset. Year 3, the nice guy who brings the water to the school, hey,
I checked in on her all the time.
How are you? Good to see you. How are you? Oh, I know Spanish too. Like, oh, cool. And then that's the point. And then he's living in your house. You blip back into your house, like, oh my goodness, I'm back. It's like, oh, dude, what are you doing in my chair? Like, and that's a real thing, because now, like, you were dead. Like, that's not, that's.
And I'm like, Richard, fire up the computer. We're starting the podcast again.
She's like, wait, do you want to see the kids? Yeah, I'll see them in a second. We got a kid.
We got to start the podcast again.
Right. And I'm like, oh, I've got to. Yeah. So, but that's there's a billion stories. Like, even just insane stories of like, yeah, like did the plane when the pilot, you know, lift off the plane, did the plane crash? Did the people die? Like, and again, did they reappear in the air with no plane and die? Like,
oh, damn,
which I've never, you know, like
provoking.
there's so many different little nuances you can do with this, and kind of have more like a This Is Us kind of like dramedy to it, where you deal with some of these crazy things, like your business was sold, you're, you know, like a professional athlete who like they're still at the top of their game, but it's 5 years later, and you know, even just what we saw in Falcon and Winter Soldier, where it's like you have no income to get a loan, but yes,
yeah,
I mean that would really
did Tony Stark leave you any money?
Right? Like, you sure? But like again, that one I think was meant, but if Falcon can't get a loan, you know, like, and he's like, oh, can I take your picture? Yeah, then Joe, you know, Ryan Mercer's not going to the bank, or, you know, so beyond fascinating. And again, even Falcon and Winter Soldier brings up the idea that, yeah, actually Thanos wasn't wrong, because for those 5 years, things kind of chilled out, you know, like,
yeah,
other than they kind of claiming things chilled out and got better, but we definitely see Hawkeye in Japan. Like there's definitely crime. There's definitely issues, you know,
yeah,
like,
that happens. Yeah.
So, but again, like, so there's stories to be told about those 5 years. There's stories to be told about afterwards. So, all right, Marvel, we're ready.
Yeah, and I guess my quick final thoughts towards the end of the show, if you will, and this will be the segue into next week. So make sure that everybody who's watching, you check in with us next week. I think that they did a fantastic job of casting, and I don't mean to be repetitive, but they picked people who can safely take this entire franchise into the next phase. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, you make Don Cheadle a background actor, Anthony Mackie, you know, sidekick.
Yeah,
Let's say sidekick.
Mm-hmm.
Sebastian Stan is a sidekick. But I really, truly believe that you will see Anthony Mackie or Sebastian Stan, or both of them, win an Oscar of some sort. But you will live to see it happen. I think that they're lead guys. I think that there's lead girls that are still left, and you know, it can be very scary. And maybe that, I'm thinking, is why Marvel was like, it'll be worth the wait. You know, we don't have Robert Downey. We don't have Steve Rogers' name just escaped me.
Chris Evans.
We don't have Chadwick Boseman. We've lost a lot of good people. Like, we've had people who were written off, and we lost people who were supposed to be part of the next phase. But this will be worth it. And I think, you know, you and I always talk about the responsibility of playing a comic book hero. I think they get it. Everybody gets it, and everybody's going to make the effort to make the next phase something very special.
There's an old comic book magazine called Wizard Magazine that had like a price guide in it, had stories in it, and one of the segments of the magazine was always like casting call, and they cast movies. And I think I'm going to start ripping out those casting calls and keep them around to like talk about them from time to time, because, you know, that's the difference. Everything you just said, you didn't say anything far-fetched or exaggerated. Like, yes, like these actors, there's two things. One, some of the actors they've cast who you didn't really know are Oscar-worthy level talent, and they're getting Oscar talent to be in a superhero movie, which seemed, you know, if you told Anthony Hopkins in After Silence of the Lamb that he's going to be in a Marvel movie, are you going to be in a superhero movie? You're going to play, you know, he's probably like, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. But yeah, you fast forward 20 years and he's like, yeah, no, this makes sense. Also, you know, like, and that's that's kind of the cool thing, is that, yeah, you want to put, you know, Marvel movies have now replaced Kevin Bacon as like, you know, connect the Marvel actors, because they've all been, you know, you've all done something at this point. And obviously Samuel Jackson connects everyone to everything. But yeah, no, that's, you know, it's an excellent point, because this is, you know, and honestly, I don't even think we're that far off from, you know, like a legitimate Oscar win for a superhero movie, because they are slightly getting, you know, a little more, but yeah, if you can see some of these old casting things, you know, and you're like, yeah, like they were casting, you know, like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and, you know, not necessarily like great action heroes, but not necessarily like Oscar-worthy performers. And again, Joaquin Phoenix was more or less in a superhero movie. But again, if you get him to come back for something, so promise him promise him he can make another speech, and then maybe he'll do a Joker movie. Well, that was fun. Thank you for those of you who stayed and listened. Oh, Tim, you should tell me, do I sound different today, Tim? I forgot to ask you earlier.
And Renee, thank you as always.
Tim. Yeah, I think Renee is Renee wants us to keep it to that hour format, so that way she can watch her 9 o'clock shows.
Oh, okay.
I think she DVRs us and
she TiVos it.
Yeah, she did. Sorry. So next week we'll talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier. And thank you. And we'll go from there. I'm sure something will happen then. Yeah.
I was just about to say a trailer might drop on someone literally, but we'll be able to bring you the news and we'll bring you all the nerdum and things of that nature. And we will be back next week, whether you like it or not. Always tune in. We're going to get better. We are getting better. And thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys. You too.
See ya.